Hey everyone, welcome to The Squad. This is the Park Squad Pod, a podcast where four friends catch up and chat about all things Disney, day-to-day life, and more. My name is Tommy, and I'm your host for today's episode, and I'm here with the rest of the squad.
I'm Haley.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Heidi.
Welcome to episode 20, which will be the D23 Announcements Draft. It's like a little bit of a recap draft kind of thing. We thought drafting would be kind of a fun way to talk about the different D23 announcements that we're most excited for. So yeah, really looking forward to that. But first things first, 20 episodes, pretty crazy. I feel like felt like more episodes than that, but also 20 feels like a lot. Maybe it's because the break we took in between. But how's everyone feeling? Episode 20. What have we learned so far? We're basically podcast experts at this point.
Right.
Yeah, Brandon just told us our international list, and it's expanding rapidly, which is great.
Yeah. I feel like that it's like one of those things. I think that you like 20 is a lot, because especially with taking a little hiatus for us, we hitting this kind of milestone is so fun. So thanks to everyone who listens and stuff. This is so fun. And it's a fun way. I feel like we've said this before. This was the birth of the podcast was a way for us all just to hang out and chat and kind of an insider look at what a little Disney chat with all of us would be. And I feel like it's a fun way for us to connect every week and do this kind of thing. So it's fun.
Yeah, think about if you think about it in terms of hours, 20 hours plus is a lot of time.
Yeah, it's honestly probably closer to 30 than it is to 20.
Yeah.
Some of those episodes are
pretty long.
A little ways over an hour. So yeah, we talk about 30 hours just chatting, saved forever, which is good. So maybe we should have tread some water for a couple episodes. We could have done the D23 announcements draft on episode 23.
Oh, that would have been fun.
But we'll have to, maybe we'll think of something fun and do, ideas for a future D23 or something like that. Keep it thematically appropriate.
That's smart, Tommy. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thinking ahead. So stay tuned for another 3 episodes.
Perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps. But before we get into kind of the main course for today's podcast, which will be, as we mentioned, the D23 Announcements Draft, thought it might be fun to kind of talk about the Disney Legends panel as well. I don't know about everybody else on this squad, but it kind of was more engaging than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a snooze fest, a little bit of an awards ceremony without kind of the pop of an Oscars. But I really enjoyed it and kind of thought that it might be fun, since we're obviously not going to be kind of drafting legends as a part of our announcements draft. Might be fun to kind of run through the list of inductees for 2024 and kind of share our thoughts about the panel as a whole, and also kind of any individual legends that stuck out to us.
Yeah, last episode we talked kind of about how we decided on what days we were going to go, and it was a toss up if we were going to get to go to all three. And Legends was the one that I was I'm fine if I don't get to go to Legends. I don't think I'll miss it that much. But then going, I like Tommy said, I think that it made a bigger impact and was cooler than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. And I know that you you, Heidi, were kind of the one who was a big advocate for the Legends, because you were I'm seeing Miley Cyrus in person.
That's all I care about.
All you care about. But I feel like that it was one of those things that I really enjoyed it more than I thought I would, because like you said, Tommy, I thought it would just be some kind of bland award show with people kind of accepting an award, but there was way more to it than that, which was so nice. And all of the people were super I think
grateful.
Yeah, which was nice. I liked it.
It seemed like a bigger deal to them than I thought it was going to.
Same.
Especially some of the larger names really kind of seemed emotional and kind of grateful. And maybe it's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. I know a lot of them talked about Bob Iger and stuff like that. But yeah, it was really cool. So I'll read through the list of inductees really quick, and then we can go from there. 1 second. So the list of 2024 Disney Legends is Colleen Atwood, who did a lot of costuming for some of the kind of lesser known names. Maybe I'll provide a little blurb there. Angela Bassett, Martha Blanding, who was kind of a legacy cast member there. James Brooks, who is a director. James Cameron, Jamie Lee Curtis, Miley Cyrus, Steve Ditko, mostly known for kind of the creation of Spider-Man. Harrison Ford, Mark Henn, who was the animator for a lot of the kind of Disney Renaissance princess movies. Frank Oz, voiced Yoda. Kelly Ripa, Joe Rohde, and the legendary John Williams, no pun intended. So kind of out of that list, does anybody stick out? I think we have kind of some favorites, so I'll maybe throw that to someone else to talk about. But cool ceremony. Anyone stick out in particular?
Well, there's one that I think the reason that we included this in the podcast today is Martha, who you probably don't know unless you watched a recap of D23 or you were there. but she is a cast member, and she's been a cast member since like, I don't even know when it was.
Long
I don't know
time.
how many years it was, but she was so sweet. And they showed like clips of her. Like she started like as just like a normal general cast member, and she ended up being like the VIP tour guide, like extraordinaire. And she was so sweet, and it was so meaningful. And I was just like sobbing the entire time she was up there. And then they walked her upstage, and she was just so grateful and so happy for like the experience to get to work at Disney, and like how much of a difference it made in her life. And then how much of a difference she made, I think, at Disneyland was like a huge, like she had such an impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like really connected with her because I was obviously coming fresh off the cast member summer for myself. But I just think for her, like it was cool. She crossed off so many boxes. She was like the first woman, the first Black woman to do all those things, like you said, Haley. Like, and I just think for her, like her whole story was that basically people told her that she wouldn't be anything, and then to be this like incredible cast member for Disneyland is just like such a touching story. And how they did it all, they had like what's his name there? Derek Huff was there, like, and they had Mickey and Minnie came out on stage, and it was like this whole thing. Like, I just thought it was awesome and so sweet. And she was just like such a kind, like warm-souled person. Like she was so grateful.
Yeah.
And I just loved it so much seeing her up there.
And it was cool that she actually like spoke about her story and her entire journey from
Yeah.
like how she started there and how she progressed, and also how she was like a mentor for so many people. So it was just like cool to see her impact. And I know that she like got the whole room teary-eyed essentially. So
oh my gosh, for sure.
Yeah,
and she was one that I never thought that I think a lot of the legends, maybe like you don't really know too much about them. She was one that came out of nowhere, that it's like you know nothing about her, and then it's just like she's like the standout like of this whole crowd. It was great.
Yeah, I think her kind of induction was probably the moment where it really clicked, where I was like, this panel is going to be like really engaging.
Yeah.
Because it could have easily been something where it's like, this is a, kind of, essentially like an employee, right? It's not a celebrity. It's not someone who's like well regarded. And yeah, all of the, not only kind of the sort of emotional resonance and sort of inspiring nature of her story, but also the pomp and circumstance that they rolled out with like the Main Street Band and Brandon, like you mentioned, like Mickey and Minnie, was just a really good kind of distillation of, sort of how the Disney magic translates into something like an award show, where I wasn't kind of sure beforehand how that was gonna play out. One, in addition to that kind of stuck out to me, and Heidi, I'll let you, take the brunt of this, but I like was really kind of moved by Miley Cyrus's induction. Like she told a really kind of cool story about how she got the role of Hannah Montana. And obviously she's Billy Ray Cyrus's daughter. So not like she came from nothing, but kind of her sharing that experience and sort of the experience of being like a fake pop star before she was actually a pop star was just so interesting, and must be such like a mind-bending experience for someone growing up. So yeah, I really like that. But like I said, Heidi, I'll let you kind of gush about Miley Cyrus, because I know that was the big one for you.
I was so excited for Miley just because she's just someone that I've like, you watched growing up, and then she kind of progressed into adulthood, and so it was super cool to like see her in person. But definitely, like Tommy said, I think like her sharing that story, and the part that really was like just so sweet was how she was saying like when she had to perform like as Hannah Montana for the first time, but it was like for an episode in a concert, and nobody knew who she was, and she had said like, but in my heart, like I was Hannah Montana, and like I pretty much like loved it, and it was like the coolest thing. And she said like, I just loved how she was so grateful to have been Hannah Montana, and continues to be grateful, and is like shouting out the fans, and is like essentially being like, I'm here because of Hannah Montana. Because I think there's a lot of celebrities and people that like once they make it big, then they kind of like look back at what they have done, and maybe like think poorly of it, or think like, I don't know, like that wasn't like, as big of a
like
deal
a different
as it was.
era.
Yeah. But she was just like so grateful, and it was fun to see her like talk about it. She got so emotional about it, and also like to kind of make like lightheartedness about the times where she kind of ran into some rough patches, and she got through, and she's on the other side. Like I think it was just super cool. And was she like one of the youngest?
I think that she is
right?
the youngest inducted person, which is pretty cool.
And
she had a big impact across like all of Disney. Like Hannah Montana is a massively popular Disney Channel show. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes like Disney kid actors don't give it a great rap. Like I think that like they're all super successful. Like you look at like the Mickey Mouse Club, like obviously older than Hannah Montana, but like they're all super successful. But I don't think like kid actors usually have a lot of great things to say.
Yeah.
And it's not Disney specific. I think it's usually more movies and like not bigger studios because it's Disney, but different studios. But the fact that she had like nothing but like great memories and kind things to say about being on set and doing all this stuff and like starting her career there and then essentially never stopping I think it like shows a lot about Disney.
Yeah, it could like, I think it's a great point. It could be really easy for her to kind of be resentful of the fact that she'll be Hannah Montana forever, but that wasn't, the case. It's something that she's, kind of happy about and proud of, and, been able to maintain while still establishing, a career as an actual, pop star and kind of music sensation instead of just the one that she was playing on TV.
Yeah, I had another one.
Yeah.
That I was surprised by, and I think it's because of who gave her like the Legend Award was Angela Bassett's.
Yeah.
And it was the
Ryan Coogler, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So he's the director for Black Panther.
Correct, yeah.
And him talking about her impact, like because he's much younger. So he watched her in these iconic roles as like a child, kind of like he grew up with his dad watching her. And so I think like when you look at Angela Bassett and watch her act, like obviously she's amazing, but she seems so young that you don't think about someone who's making movies right now, grew up watching her, and then getting to cast her in a movie is like full circle. And so I thought that one I wasn't really like, I like Angela Bassett. I like what she does. I think she's great, but I don't think I was like super excited. And then I think that the emotional impact of the Ryan
Coogler. Yes. Yep.
He like the impact that she had on him as a child, and now he's having on her because he's able to cast her in roles, like such a full circle moment.
Yeah, like watching him get up there and kind of fangirl about Angela Bassett, someone who is a very famous, successful Hollywood director, was definitely kind of a cool thing to witness and kind of a cool experience all around.
But I also think that like she, as this super successful icon, also kind of fangirled over him and was like so thankful. And it's like you can see these people that are still so humble, even though like you said, D23 is not. The Legends Award isn't the most prestigious award you can win. She's won much grander awards, but she was so excited to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also wanted to add one, which I think that you said his name's Mark Hen. Is that his name? He's like the animator.
Mark Hen.
I think that that's kind of a cool thing that maybe you don't really ever think about, is that like there are these people who obviously bring the characters like to life with like their voice and things, but there are people who have to make it like happen on the other end. And the fact that he was able to draw like all of these iconic characters and bring them to life, and like not only that, but also connect with like the actors and actresses and stuff and make them kind of feel like that's them on the screen. Like I thought that was like so cool. And to see all of those Disney princesses walk out like and kind of give him the award, I thought was so cool, because it's like it's this person who like you never think of like who made these characters, but he's like an icon for doing that. Like all these like super impactful characters, I thought was so cool.
Yeah, Mark Hen was definitely one I wanted to talk about as well. Kind of just echoing all the points you just made. Kind of seeing how thankful the voice actresses were to have had kind of bits of their personality translated and kind of immortalized in the animation of those characters was really kind of interesting to see. Because kind of voice acting as an art is, a little bit dying, where they kind of now just cast famous Hollywood actors to voice characters. Where obviously that wasn't necessarily the case in the 90s. So to kind of let people who, whose face you probably wouldn't know unless you're kind of like a Disney super fan, but, kind of have that ingrained in the characters that are kind of famous worldwide is a really cool thing. And to see that appreciation was something that, I didn't even know was something that, existed out in the world. So to kind of see that was a cool experience.
And I think that he gave them an opportunity. So instead of showing them a character and saying, find a voice that fits, he found them and then kind of, like you said, Brandon, like tailored the character to fit the voice that they chose for it. So it's like, I feel like sometimes with voice acting, they're shown a character, they're like given a script of this is how they're going to behave. These are the things you're going to say. So like change your voice to make it be that. And like, this is exactly what we're looking for. And like, if you don't fit that, we'll find someone else or you have to change it. And I think that it was like a symbiotic relationship where they could like work together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't know if anybody else had any that stuck out.
Well, Joe Rohde's an icon and a legend, which was, it's honestly surprising that he hasn't been in Legends until now.
Yeah.
Which was cool because we got to see it. But I think that like his kind of speaks for his own. Like he is just such like a mastermind behind so much, and his like detail oriented brain like is so amazing. Like it would be crazy to be in his brain for like an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I love also that he put his hands in the clay and then put his little earring in the clay for his little thing. Like it's so iconic. It's so good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Other than that, I thought Harrison Ford was it was touching how, appreciative he was. I wasn't expecting that. He's kind of famously a curmudgeon. So to see him kind of emotional was good. And then Jamie Lee Curtis, we love Jamie Lee Curtis. Obviously, her induction I thought was kind of weird. I don't know. She was just,
She had
singing
everyone
songs,
singing
the wrong words and stuff like that. It was fun, but it was definitely a little bit like, whoa. But yeah, all in all, I thought it was great. It was really cool to kind of learn about people that I didn't necessarily know existed, like Martha Blanding and Mark Henn, but also really cool to see, people like James Cameron, Harrison Ford, stuff like that, get inducted and be really appreciative of something that, kind of rolling it into. I thought it was going to be a lot of people accepting awards on behalf of others, but no, most of them that were able to show face, which was cool. Yep.
And I like us not talking about them doesn't mean that we didn't think that they were great.
No,
it's just that we could do a whole episode talking about the legends.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want them to hear that list and be like, oh, they don't care about blah, 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 which isn't true. They were all amazing. It was just
amazing.
No, I mean, Frank Oz, voice of Yoda. Like Frank Oz is, Muppet extraordinaire. Frank Oz is the man. Like you said, we could talk about every one of them for, 10 minutes alone. But yeah, overall it was really cool. And it's something I would definitely kind of look to do again if we ever did D23 again. Definitely not something I would ever purposefully leave off the itinerary.
Yeah.
But moving in to the main event, which will be our 4-round D23 announcement snake draft. So kind of clarify snake since it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. But in order to kick things off, I'm going to randomize our names in order to establish the order.
And I'm peeking over his shoulder to
then
make
we
sure
can go from there.
Funny business.
Yeah, this is one of our favorite things. I'm excited to do it this way. I think it'll be fun.
All right. So, and I'll show the camera for the YouTube viewers. The list came out: myself first, Brandon second, Haley third, Heidi fourth. Fourth's not all bad though. You get 4 and 5. I was kind of hoping for the 4th spot, and here you go.
Is that you? You're 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
Okay. Yep. 4 and 5 is a good spot.
Yeah.
Tommy's got a good spot too.
All right. Well,
I'm thrilled with my spot.
I'll get started. Yeah.
Of course
I didn't think you would. I think I might catch a little bit of grief for taking this one first, but I'm gonna go with Monsters Inc. at Hollywood Studios. I think the clarification of it as like a land is what pushed it over the edge. If it was just going to be the ride, or at least if the announcement was just a ride, it might end up being just a ride. I might have had it a little bit further down my list, and I'm having a bad moment where I shouldn't have stolen it. I should have left it, but
it's so disrespectful.
But it was easily my favorite of the announcements. I think the coaster looks really cool. It's the first suspended coaster at all of Walt Disney World, so that'll be really exciting. And I think the ability to kind of eat some weird monster treats from like a 4-eyed monster.
Please tell
from
us
outside the
what's the name of the restaurant?
The name of the restaurant, it's Harryhausen's.
There you go.
Yeah.
She thought she was going to get
Harryhausen's would be good. But yeah, I think it'll be cool, and I think it'll breathe some life into Hollywood Studios. It's been a little bit stagnant since kind of the opening of Galaxy's Edge in 2018. So I think it's been a while. So I think that'll be really exciting. Sorry for taking it, honey.
You're not, or you wouldn't have done it.
No, I'm not. But
I also wanted to add, because the hot controversy on a lot of these is where are they going to go? And I think on our end for us, like, I don't want to say that we don't.
Who cares? Kick it out.
We kind of don't care. It's like the whole topic right now is like Animation Courtyard Launch Bay or Muppet Vision, and we're in the camp of like, get them both out and put something else in the other one.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, I think it should go in Animation Courtyard and Launch Bay because there's literally nothing there.
Agree.
Yeah.
Like, just don't even bother bringing back the aerial show. Like, there's nothing there. There's so much space that you can do stuff with. But like, if they refuse to do that, I'm not mad that it's going in Muppets Land. And by Muppets Land, I mean one singular ride and one restaurant. That's it.
Yeah.
There's like stores that have been closed since COVID back there.
Yeah. Muppets Land is not kind of making a very good argument for itself when it's, it's like 50% closed. Like maybe if they're operating at full capacity and really trying to stay alive, I'd have a little bit more kind of reluctance to getting rid of them. kind of, like Haley said, I'd rather it go in Animation Courtyard, but if the Muppets have to get the axe to get something new, unfortunately, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. So sorry to all the Muppets lovers, but
yeah, they've unsubscribed officially.
Yeah,
I was gonna say so sorry, but I'm just in the camp of if it's gonna be better, I feel like that you kind of have to just like look at it like a suspended coaster.
Yeah.
With Mike and Sully and a bunch of monster food, like Tommy said, versus
And another ride, isn't there?
Maybe.
Or it's just one.
I don't know. I think they really highlighted that suspended one. So maybe there'll be something else depending on the area space. But I just think like I would think it's gonna go where Launch Bay is. That's my gut reaction. But I also like again, I just think to bring some life into some certain places, like either one of which past whatever time in the afternoon have nothing going on.
And I think down the line, like if it's not now, there's
One
gonna
of
be a
them
new
will go.
announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Muppets, I mean, it just like can't survive there. It can survive if it was like if you had Muppets where Launch Bay was, where it's just that.
Yeah.
I think it's totally sustainable over there.
Yeah.
But it's so much real estate in this park that doesn't have very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry if you've stopped listening. Hopefully you'll come back when you are maybe more happy with us.
Yeah. And we don't hate Muppets. We just like new stuff.
I like the Muppets fine. Yeah.
We like new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say that I thought that Tommy had a good first pick because the way that I was kind of thinking about these, obviously Haley is like a Monsters Inc. stan, so she is throwing.
And did you cry at the announcement?
Yeah,
no.
I was gonna add a little bit of context for the viewers
didn't.
and listeners that a big reason why I'm so apologetic is because Billy Crystal came on the stage
I was
and
sobbing.
moved my wife to tears. Yeah, in the middle of the
about to cry
presentation.
now.
Yeah,
it was good though. He sang the little song and all that.
Yeah, but I wanted to say I was trying to think of like the announcements and how shocking they were too, like because we're ranking kind of like best announcements, and I think being there like at D23, this was something that like I don't think anyone expected. The fact that it's like a totally new ride as well, and more of like kind of like a thrilling ride is really appealing, and I think like Hollywood Studios is kind of like a bunch of thrilling rides, so just something that I was really excited for. So
well, like, and I've kind of talked about this. Like for years that I thought that Rock and Roller Coaster would be changed to this, but now that it's going to be this whole area, I think like last kind of thing on this is I think that it should go to Launch Bay because you can then connect it to Toy Story Land with a door to Andy's backyard.
That's so cute.
That's what it should be.
Call him up.
A big door. Wow. There could be like a little shed or something in his backyard.
Yeah. Well, it could just be
something.
Even if it's Andy's door, because his door is so iconic with the sign like that, like nobody's allowed in except Molly.
Yeah.
It should be a door there. And they already have that door made. It's right at All Star Movies.
There's my pitch.
Just make a carbon copy. That's a great idea.
Have an entrance there with a door and then have the animation courtyard entrance.
And everyone would be happy. All the people who care about
and you can keep Pixar. Then you can make like that whole side of the park Pixar-y.
And it would, all the big thematic elements people would be overjoyed.
I'm here for it.
Kind of complaining about stuff, but they would, you would be.
That's huge.
Making them happy as well.
Like a door. Call up Josh. I'll let him know.
Yeah, it'll make more sense than just like walking underneath the bridge and being in Galaxy's Edge.
100%.
Yeah.
There we go. Unless there's like a space door we don't know about and that's connected somehow.
Yeah, who knows? In Star Wars, there probably is one. But yeah, Brandon, you're up next.
This kind of, so again, we're also drafting just like everything. So there could be movies, TV, different things. But I feel like that I gotta go like a parks one with my first pick because I don't necessarily think that maybe a lot of the big ones will be left. And I think I'm gonna go with something that consensus everyone's excited about and I'm more excited about, even though I'm not a big person of these specific type of characters. I'm going to take the Villains Land coming to Magic Kingdom because I feel like this is something that is at D23. We thought that it was over and then there was the whole thing with like the magic mirror, like, and it was this whole big thing, but this was like a mic drop moment and a direct response to Epic Universe. And I feel like that I never thought that at this expo, based on how that it was going, that Disney was going to go there, and then they did go there. And I think that when you think about it, people are going to think this might be scary and don't want to bring kids there, but I feel like it's going to be just enough. Like, obviously, it's not going to be Halloween Horror Nights or whatever, like the Dark Universe, but it's going to be spooky and dark, and there'll be villains, and there'll be some, stuff going on there. I just think that this has so much potential. And people, like, I think are nervous that Disney won't do it right, but I think that they have to because the pressure of this is on, and I'm hoping that they stick to that and that it is just like the most that it could possibly be. So I'm going to take the Villains Land with my first pick.
Disney does villains right though in their movies.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that if you think about Disney villains, they provide a ton of comedic relief in the movies. And so I think instead of like a black villain, it's like purple villain. Like, I don't know if that translates to everybody's brain, but like instead of it being like Halloween Horror Nights, which is like dark and fire and smoky and like really like ominous, I think it's like creepy and purple and like up like mischievous instead.
Yeah, spooky, not
Like,
scary.
yeah. And so I think that like, and this is one where I don't have any. Like usually we sit here and we talk about like what we think is going to be there and what we think would go well and blah blah blah, and like villains aren't really our bag.
No.
And so I have no clue. Like I feel like the first time we see anything about it, it's going to be like totally like eye-opening and mind-boggling.
Yeah, there's the coaster in the concept art, which seems like that'll probably be a lock. I don't know what they would end up doing with that. If it's like a Maleficent coaster through, I don't know, those big thorns or whatever from the movie, something like that. I think it's interesting. Yeah, I think like Haley said, villains aren't necessarily our bag. I like the villains enough. I primarily like them for the songs, which obviously is difficult to incorporate into a theme park. But I think it'll
not with the rides.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, but I think it'll be interesting, and I think it'll provide really good contrast with the rest of the park, which will be cool. And if they do like a Kingdom Hearts or even like a Phantasmic like villains like ganging up together to kind of team up on Mickey or whatever, I think that would be pretty cool. I think that could be fun and provide, a lot of humor and kind of fun interactions and things of that nature. So
I think it opens the doors for some entertainment as well that we don't have.
Yeah, that's true. I think this one's cool because it's like the potential is there and it's like endless potential. They could say anything. They have so much to work with, obviously, because they have so many villains and they can kind of spin it any which way. And I feel like it's going to be a big addition and also something that's just like totally different. So like it'll draw in maybe a new crowd, but also please the people. Like there's a lot of villain stands. So please all those people too who really like villains too.
And I'm kind of now in my era where like I look up stuff and I want to see like how it's going to fit. And I saw some stuff again online, speaking of an entrance, because I'm like apparently now big on entrances, is that I saw one of the little concepts that people have thrown out there is that the Haunted Mansion would be like at the bottom of the big entry point to Villains Land, being like the Haunted Mansion and then a walkway over to Villains Land. I think that would make Haunted Mansion fit better there, because I feel like that kind of sticks out as like a spooky, which again, people don't come to the like critique of that's a spooky thing just randomly placed there, but then people get like overcritical on certain things, which I'm sure that we'll get to one of the things at this park later on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like, I just think that it's going to be like incorporated so well. And I think, like you said, Haley, like no clue what to expect, but I'm so open and I know that it's going to be done right. So let's hope.
Yeah.
They can't really afford to not do it right. I don't think.
Exactly.
And even talking about Universal, I think the Dark Universe kind of land is interesting to me. I don't know how like that plays to a year-round audience, where I think this is more kind of in tune with a vibe that is more kind of appealing.
It's not Halloween-y.
Yeah, appealing on a year-round basis, where it's not necessarily Halloween specific. And I definitely want to. I agree. I think Haunted Mansion sticks out more than people call it out for.
But it's like they love it.
There's like a ghost horse next to the restaurant where you can buy like fish and chips or whatever. Like that is a weird juxtaposition, even though people don't call it out. All right, on to the third pick of the draft. Haley, you are up.
All right. So my pick, I think, is going to be a little bit surprising, but I did feel like I had to go with something a little larger before going with necessarily like one that I'm like, but I am so excited for it, but I'll just get into it instead of doing all of this. The Tropical Americas, I was kind of down and out on because we had some other decisions of what we thought would be more thematically appropriate there.
Right.
But seeing it, I think that like the artwork on the carousel, I think it really is going to hit the aesthetic point. Like being able to see the concept art and like being there when they released it. And then we talked about on last week's episode is we got to kind of go to the Imagineering booth and see like these concepts for the rides, like from Monsters Inc. and from Tropical Americas. And the carousel is like all like hand carved different animals. They look so beautiful and painted. And then you guys got to go on Indiana Jones and you said it was awesome. And then finding out that this is going to be, it's not just a copy and paste with the ride. It's something different. I think that kind of opened my eyes on being more pro Tropical Americas and like giving it an actual open-minded chance.
I've got to say, I am shocked, and I'm sure
Same.
listeners
Yeah,
of the podcast are as well, because we are, I think the four of us, but I think this half especially is well known for being quite critical of that rumor.
Yeah.
But I agree with everything you said. I think it looks like they're doing it right. I think what we've seen looks like there's a lot of care that went into it. And the Indiana Jones revamp, I think, is approaching it in a way where I will be less sad about the replacement of Dinosaur, although Dinosaur will live forever in my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think being there at the expo and hearing the announcement and hearing more just a little bit about like the actual kind of, I guess, like, I don't know how to describe it, like the vibes, how it's going to be like a village. I really like that. And I feel like as like an Animal Kingdom person, I love that park. I was like, okay, this makes more sense, because before I was like, no, I was like, I don't like it. I don't like how they're just putting Indiana Jones, like taking it from one side of the country, putting in the other side. Like I didn't like that. But obviously we love Encanto. So super excited for that after riding Indiana Jones, excited that it's not a copy and paste. And then for me, it's like the whole sort of like carousel, the kind of vibe that's coming around it. I think it's going to be good. So
yeah, I still think that it's a little bit of a stretch, because I think that they're really trying to fit these two IP in, which I think that they've done a better job at selling me on it, because I think that they've explained it better. I'm nervous about the Encanto ride because I have in my head what I would hope it would be. And I don't think that it's going to be what I hope it's going to be. I hope it's like a trackless moving through the house on like the magical furniture like they talked about. But I'm nervous that it's going to be something out of left field, like a boat ride or something that's like random. And I hope
it's definitely
not
the house.
I know.
They said it's the house, and they said the house is going to be moving and alive.
Yes, but I get like a little bit nervous that like this is one thing that in my head I think that I have like a vision, like I said, and I hope that it is what that vision is, because then like I think that it's going to be cool. I think that like Disney does a really good job to me at kind of like you said, like the vibe and undertone. And I love how they said it's like the Village of Hope and all these things. I feel like that really sold me, that it's like, okay, they're actually really diving deep into this. And I think it's going to have some awesome food. I love the carousel. I love the vibe. And I think the other pro to it is that it kind of fits with like the Africa, Asia, like in those kind of lands. I think that it is something that kind of fits within that. Like it's like an area versus like a Zootopia, which I would have loved, but it's something like along the lines of what they already have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, I think that they kind of appease the people who don't want change by like, I do think it's going to flow really well walking. I mean, the only thing that doesn't flow now is that big giant building for Dory's, for the Finding Nemo show. But I think it's going to flow really well into one land, out of one land. And like, it's not going to feel like it doesn't fit. And then, I was going to say, I also hope that since it's a village, I hope that they theme their cast members the way that Galaxy's Edge does, where like they live there and they're just there. It's not cast members that are working in this area. It's villagers who can help you and they can show you where to go and things like that. Because like in Disneyland, we get to see so many characters like wandering around, like Mirabelle will just be walking around. And so I think if you could do that, and especially because it's kind of an isolated section of the park. Like you could keep walking and get around this area altogether. You don't have to go through it like you do in Asia. And so I think that like if you could have the characters kind of more open and just there, I think it would be a good way to bring in like Tropical Americas, but also this is actually Encanto. Like that's what this is. It's not just like a lot of like green plants.
Yeah. I have similar reservations about the Encanto ride. Definitely nervous that it's going to be a boat ride or just a sort of standard dark ride with animatronics. But if it does have a little bit more dynamicism, whether it's, I don't know if that's a word, whether it's the trackless nature or if it just has a little bit more kind of like action to it, I think I could be, I think I could be sold on it. The Indiana Jones is totally 180'd on me. So I'm not ruling anything out when it comes to Tropical Americas. I think that's a great pick. I wasn't expecting it, but I think it's a really good pick.
Disney's been doing a good job with all their rides and what their animatronics look like. So I have a lot of hope.
Yeah, I thought you were going with something else, so that was cool that you took that one. I like
me
that.
too. Yeah, I had it written down already.
Yeah,
moving on to the
Heidi
the
double pick.
Yep, Heidi, you've got picks 4 and 5.
Ooh, this is a good turning point here.
Yes, I'm excited. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is something that I think that you can't deny is going to be a good announcement for any Disney lover. And I'm going with the Walt Disney animatronic at Disneyland.
I like that pick.
I think this is something that people are obviously like could be worried about because this is something that I think obviously has to be like super well done, but also I have full trust in Disney that because it's something that has to be fully well done, I think they're going to do it well. It's coming soon. And I think it's just one of those things that like we just went to Disneyland for the first time. All of us went to Disneyland, obviously for D23, and being there, you can really feel like Walt's presence and like this is where it all started. And I think like having that added to the park where you can go in and like see him will be like so cool. And just for any Disney lover's heart will just be like pulling on the heartstrings. So picking this one as my first pick.
It's going to be a sob fest, I'll say. And what I like about this, I feel like of any announcement, like you said, this will be the one that's done the most right because they have to. And I appreciate that. And I think that it's a cool thing that kids don't know really who Walt Disney is or who's this person that created all this. And I think to have him in the park and be this like I think actual physical presence, I think will be cool for like a new generation who maybe just don't know like that Disney is a person. I think that is like really cool. And I'm excited about that. That's a good pick.
It's honestly shocking that he's not more present in the park.
Agree.
I think at Disneyland, like I was just thinking like just make a double animatronic and put one like in his apartment, like peeking out and like waving to the people. Like that would be so cute because like that's where he lived. But it is absolutely surprising. And I think it's another one where like if you don't care, you don't have to go see it. It's not like it's not like taking over anything.
Yes.
It's just they're alternating the Lincoln show. With the Walt.
Yeah, I think it's almost like a museum piece, and I think there is a place for that in the Disney parks more broadly, just because of kind of how ingrained they are, and specifically like even like American society, but kind of as like worldwide society. Obviously, like the parks themselves, but Walt Disney individually, huge impact across the globe. Obviously, we're an international podcast right here, kind of the squad itself, but also our listenership. So the impact is across the globe is obvious. So to kind of enshrine Walt in a way is definitely a cool aspect, and it is something that they have to get right. So there's no way you can't cut corners on the Walt Disney animatronic. So it's kind of going to be top notch. And as we move sort of farther and farther away as time goes on from his passing and kind of his literal sort of impact and touch, it's definitely cool to kind of enshrine him in that way where it's still possible to kind of experience his presence in a more literal sense than kind of just the vibes around the park.
That's what I was going to say, because this is the last thing I'll say, is that like we like change. Like that's what we said. We like new, we like change, but at the same time, like I think being Disney adults, like there's no forgetting for us, like kind of where it started and who started it all. And so I think that having something like this where like you can go and see this, like you can kind of like, I don't know, it sounds so corny, but like ground yourself and think about where it actually all started. And like the only reason we have like Pixar to this point and Monsters Inc. and this new ride that's coming, even though it technically is Pixar, not Disney. But I think that like without Walt, you don't have that. And so I think you have to put that piece in the park to kind of keep, like it's the same way where I don't think Carousel of Progress will ever leave because that is him. And so I think having this, but then being willing to like continue his ideas of like innovation and change and things like that, like not staying stagnant, is an important balance.
It's a good pick, Heidi. I like it. I'm glad you took that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then number 5 as well.
Yep. So back-to-back picks, and this time I'm going for something and getting back at someone here sitting next to me.
What? No, there's no way.
Redemption.
What?
Do it.
I'm getting Incredibles 3.
I thought that was safe for a while.
No, it's not safe for a while. It's something that we didn't know was coming.
I know.
And the reaction
shock factor.
Again, I'm going for the reaction. I'm thinking everything in place here. This is something that's super cool. Sorry. This is something that's super cool. I think unexpected. Brandon's reaction, the reason why I said sorry is because he loves The Incredibles. I mean, we all love The Incredibles. Who doesn't? But I think just having like a third movie when the first two were so good is something that's really exciting. And again, it's something that there's a lot of potential in still because the kids were little, kind of unchanged in the first two. Are they going to like age them a little bit? Where's the storyline going to come from? Super exciting stuff. So sorry, Brandon, but I'm taking it.
Well, this was a good pick because I think like of the movies, this is one that's like more of an unknown, but is like a heavy hitting, like, oh my gosh, this was insane. Like when I'm pretty sure that it was like Anger said like incredible, and then it was the
Yeah.
music. And I turned to Haley because we literally talked about this like the day before, maybe, where I said like if a Brad Bird would figure it out and just like make another movie, let's do it. I said he never will. And then they did. And I turned over and I was stunned because like that was not on my card at all. Like I knew that they would talk about all of the other ones that were announced, like, and maybe some different stuff. I never thought that Incredibles 3 would have been announced. And I think that it was one of the most, like, to me, like stunned moments for me that whole weekend was that we're going to get like Incredibles 3. And I'm excited. I love the second one so much. I think that it doesn't get the credit that it deserves because it came out so long after. So I do like that there will be a little bit of a closer window. Who knows when this comes out, but I do think that there is a lot of like more potential. I love Incredicoaster. I love the score, the music. Like I just love everything about this. So I'm just excited. So that's a good pick, Heidi. Well done.
Thanks.
And I think, Brandon, to your point, this was one where like it wasn't on the radar. It's kind of like Monsters Inc.
Yes.
Where like this was just a complete surprise. Like we kind of knew, like going in, we knew Tropical Americas was coming. Like that was something that we were just kind of waiting to hear more. But this one, as far as like this draft goes, like D23 announcements, I think this is a snag, honestly.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, totally. Like Haley
Heidi, sorry, you're the one that snagged that. Well, sorry, Brandon, giving you credit where it does not deserve.
I just agreed with you. I said
underneath you.
Yeah,
I said agree.
You're right. Yeah. No, like Haley said, yeah, like Tropical America's heavily rumored. Villains Land heavily rumored. Yeah. Most of the movies that were touched on in the panel were stuff that was already kind of on the slate and we already knew about, and some we even had, trailers and teasers and stuff for. Definitely the biggest pure shock of the movies panel. And something I'm really excited for. Honestly, I can't get enough of that like 50s, 60s kind of retro futuristic vibe and like all the jazzy music and stuff like that. I just drink that up. So I don't even care if the movie's any good. Just kind of existing in that universe is enough for me. Give me more Frozone though. I need more Frozone in my life.
I think we'll see more.
Yeah. Also the hot topic is Jack going to be aged, or do people love baby Jack too much, so they're going to keep him?
I think you can't keep them for 3 movies the exact same age.
I agree.
Like you can't keep them in a literal like 3-year age span of each other with so many years in between.
Yeah. Getting a little bit in the weeds, I guess. I think Jack is hard to deal with once he becomes like a proper person, right? Like a baby, like he like is starting to get personality. And even in the second one, like he fights with that raccoon and is absolutely tearing stuff up.
Yeah, and he's all these powers.
If you make him a toddler, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like him trying to learn how to get a grip on his on his powers and stuff like that. But I think it does become more difficult, I think, to grapple with his power set just when he does get a little bit kind of older and more autonomous, I guess I'll say.
But I think you could put him at a Dash age and have him like have already figured some of this stuff out. Like he's at an age where like he knows right and wrong. He can make these decisions. And then I think that's fun because I do think that like it's a bit of a shtick at this point. You know what I mean? Like Jack's like being just chaos and like lighting things on fire and not knowing what to do and disappearing, reappearing. Like I think it's cool that he encompasses so much stuff, but I think doing it for a third movie, like it's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see a time jump because the first 2 obviously take place, even though they're made like 15 years apart.
Yeah,
they take
right
place like literally right after it picks right up. So it'd be a time jump would definitely be.
I think all the characters would be cool to see. I think that like Violet is like you saw her kind of coming into her own in the second movie. So I think like making her like a young adult where like she's kind of like her parents trust her decisions and she can kind of do those things on her own would be really fun. And Dash is going to be he's Dash forever, I think, but he just like grows up in this.
Yeah.
I just wish like in my like ideal world, like we'd be that family where we'd all be superheroes, me and you, Heidi. That's my dream. Anyway.
One day.
One day.
One day. All right. Moving on to the second pick of the second round. Haley, you're up.
I'm happy with my
I think I know
pick.
where you're going. I think you might win the draft right here.
I almost don't say that because then if I don't pick what you think I'm going to pick, then
you lose.
Then
I
lose.
Yep. That's how it works.
So I was honestly between 2, but the one and because I changed my perspective a little bit on how this draft is like what we weren't expecting more than like what we're most excited for. And like, it's not that I'm less excited for this, but Cars Land coming to Magic Kingdom, I think is huge. And I think it was so unexpected because I thought, like, when they announced it, I was like, oh, this is in place of villains. So instead of villains, they're just continue on with like the same color scheme running from Big Thunder Railroad, and they'll just continue it back there. And it made sense. And they were like, nope, it's actually just taking the place of like Tom Sawyer Island. And I think that it's cool because it's not, obviously it's IP because it's Cars, but it's not Radiator Springs.
Yep.
It's not somewhere that we've seen in the Cars universe yet. And so I think that there's a lot of wiggle room, and I think we'll see some new characters, which is fun, the same way we saw in Tiana's.
Yep.
They added some like new critters and things like that. I think that we'll see some new cars that we haven't met yet. So I'm really looking forward to it. And this is another hot topic with Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer's Island.
Definitely
but
the most controversial.
Get it out of here.
Most controversial pick of the draft. I can call it right here. Because there is just nonstop discourse about replacing Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer's Island. I think it's one of those things where I think elements of the parks can be, like I said, museum pieces where they stick around for kind of the prosperity and kind of to act as a time capsule. But I think if you, I don't know, become rigid in what you're willing to kind of accept as change in the Disney parks, I think you're just kind of limiting your experience there, and you have to kind of, I don't know. It like change is hard. It's hard for everyone. It's hard all the time. But I think if you kind of embrace it, you know, you will end up better for it down the road. And I think that from what we've seen, the concept art is not, you know, to Haley's point, it's not like a copy and paste of Radiator Springs.
No, it's not it at all.
And it doesn't even seem, you know, ugly in any sense, right? It seems it seems like a different vista, but it seems like an equally as appealing vista. I get that people are going to kind of miss the waterway and
they
kind
don't go
of the
to
views
it
there, but yeah, and that's the whole argument's around like, well, but it should be kind of a peaceful area to go. I don't necessarily agree with that line of thinking, but it's kind of.
And people are like, where am I now going to bring my child to play? What are you talking about? You're at Magic Kingdom. What do you mean? Where are you bringing your child to play? And like, I am a Tom Sawyer Island stan. I like Tom Sawyer's Island. I think that it's fun. Like, I was the only one out of the four of us that had been at Disney World for a long time.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, this is cool, but it's cool because there's 4 people on the island anytime you go. And so it's like the only time you have space away. But then you go back to like the main part of Magic Kingdom and it's incredibly crowded. It's super congested because they don't have the real estate that they need. And so they have this unused, humongous plot of land.
Huge.
Why wouldn't you put something there that more than, I don't know, I'm being generous, 200 people a day go to out of the how many thousands and thousands that are visiting Magic Kingdom every day? Like, you've got to look at the percentage of people who are actually using it.
And I think it'd even be different if it was utilized for Fantasmic like it is at Disneyland.
Right.
Like, I think that's even makes it a way harder sell. It is really just the Liberty Bell. That's because the one at Disneyland's the Mark Twain, right?
Mm-hmm.
It really is just that you know, it looks nice, but I don't know. At a certain point, you kind of have to accept the fact that, you know, they're going to look to appeal to younger demographics, but also kind of push the ball forward. And I think if the area looks nice and the rides deliver, you know, good thrills and enjoyable times, I have a hard time, you know, kind of really siding with the, you know, the kind of Rivers of America stands that they
came out of the woodwork. At least like
Splash
Country
Mountain
Bear,
like,
they've always had people who loved it. Like Splash Mountain, there was always like they were very loud about really enjoying those things. You didn't hear anybody talking about the Liberty Bell, Rivers of America, or Tom Sawyer Island before they announced that it was eventually going to be gone.
That's a really good point.
Well, yeah, I'll give my quick rapid fire takes. Is that they like I'm gonna add on to my little like advertising thing where that Mater should hitch that boat and pull it out and back in a Hoover truck and drain that lake and just get it out of there and fill it. I also think that this maybe is a shift in Frontierland, and I'm not like an American frontier history connoisseur, but I feel like that this is maybe a shift from like Western frontier to like American frontier of like certain states that are more picturesque and mountainous. I think that like might be kind of the way that they're going to go, which I think like I like. And like, if you want to keep the boat, stick the boat out in that lagoon at the TTC and use that to drive people over if you want as a third or whatever boat. I don't know.
Make it at Disney Springs. Who cares?
Yeah. Like I think that we kind of have to look at the future, and kids love cars. Cars is a popular like IP, and for people who say that it doesn't fit, you have to then be like we said earlier, the same people who say like Haunted Mansion is a random fit. Like there's always random fits. I just don't care about it. Like I didn't care that at Cars Land at DCA I can see Spider-Man swinging over. I just don't care. Like I'm not the crowd who cares about the like blending of things. Like I just want things that are awesome, and the fact that it's going to be something like a Radiator Springs but not like more of like an off-roading frontier, like I think is awesome. And Haley, I love your little thing that you said at the expo, which I'll let you take it away after, maybe if Heidi has some thoughts. But like I just love stuff like that where it's like original things. Oh, she doesn't even know what it is.
I don't know what I said.
Like having like the main person be like a park ranger car that's like a Jeep or something was like an awesome thought. Because I think that it adds to, again, this like American frontier. Yeah, like a new car that we've never met who's like running this, whatever it is, like a park. Like he's the guy.
Yeah.
Well, and like Western frontier and it's all the same.
Exactly.
Like American frontier is the West.
Yeah, you're right.
And so I think that like even going through Liberty Square, it progresses in time.
Yeah.
And so I think like it fits. You know what I mean? Like I think that like because no one was mad that like Splash Mountain didn't fit. Like that doesn't fit with Liberty Square, and that you can see that. And so like I think that it does. I think once it's in there, it's gonna be like, oh, this isn't jarring to my eye at all.
Yeah, well, even Pirates of the Caribbean was originally supposed to be like a wilderness river adventure, kind of more so set in the kind of American wilderness that's seen in the Cars concept art. So it's not like this is a new thing of kind of changing the landscape there. And like it's not like Pirates fits in with, Pecos Bills. Like that's a pretty big juxtaposition.
Yeah, for sure. I think I always I don't remember what it was that changed. Oh, I think actually I do remember. This was like my thought process I had to adjust is when Country Bears got changed, because I loved Country Bears, like the original one. I didn't like grow up going to Disney and loving it from the start, but I used to watch the movie when I was younger. And then when I saw it at the parks, I was like, this is so fun. And then it got changed and I was like sad about it, but I was like, oh, of course they're going to have to change it at some point. Like things need to progress. And I think Brandon had said to me, like, it's because like the parks are for children and like that is what it is. And yeah, they're for adults too. Like they're for everyone. But at the same time, we have to remember that like things need to be introduced and not everything that is introduced is necessarily gonna be like the next greatest thing. And they're gonna have to add things in that are like for kids at some point as well. Because at the end of the day, like they need places to take your babies. They need to take like places to put your toddlers. So I think that Cars is a cool thing because it is super cool. Like as an adult, I'm excited for it. But then also just like thinking that like it makes sense. Like it's Magic Kingdom. We need other things for kids to enjoy. This is something that like little girls, little boys can enjoy, adults can still enjoy. So I think it's just like another thing to add, another IP that will be like a cool addition to Magic Kingdom.
I'm excited.
And this is the last thing I'll say just because Heidi, like it made me think about it.
Yeah.
Kids, when Walt Disney World first opened, expectations of what keeps them impressed and busy and like entertained is completely different than in 2024. So like while like kids when 50 years ago when Magic Kingdom opened may have been entranced by this giant boat that they can get on because like, I mean, if you're in Florida, you can get to water, but like that may have been cool then. And I'm not saying that it's not beautiful and like now nostalgic, but 8-year-olds now don't care about that big giant boat. You could poll the 8-year-olds and ask them like, what is outside of Haunted Mansion, and they couldn't tell you it was a giant like riverboat.
You could ask them who is Tom Sawyer, and they wouldn't know.
Right.
So like the whole thing is, I agree. Like the
I
world
think Heidi's
is different.
point was great.
Yeah, the world is a different place than it was. 50 years
we're just offending everybody here. Muppets, Tom Sawyer.
No,
but,
I'm sorry because
no.
I mean we are all Disney. Like we all are adults that like Disney, and it's like there is nostalgia, but then it's like you have to shift your mind to then realize that like there's going to be new nostalgia for for new kids that are coming and they'll look back and they'll say, wow, remember when I was little and I went to Cars, like the Cars area at Magic Kingdom.
All of us went to Disney when we were young and are still able to have an open mind about things going away that we'll never see again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like why it's nostalgic because we won't see it again.
And it is hard. Like I get why people are sad and upset. But it's one of those things where, none of us have ownership over the Disney experience, and the Disney experience is liable to change,
people forget, I think,
for the rest of time.
People forget that if they're not making the most money they can, they have to change things.
Well, and like
it is
even
business.
stuff like things that we like, maybe like who's say that in 30 years that Toy Story Land's still around? Like you don't know what's gonna happen. So I just think that like things will always change.
Dinosaur is on its way
I know,
out.
Dinosaur, you don't hear me
And
crying
you don't
about
hear
it.
us
Yeah.
boohooing. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. You're allowed to boohoo.
And I boohoo on this podcast about Dinosaur leaving
all the time.
literally like
All
every
the time.
episode. So,
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
little
Sorry,
bit
that
heavy
one
there.
took.
No, it's
But
fair.
I-
no,
Aside
no,
as
and I
well.
think coming out of D23, the vast majority of the conversation in the wake of the announcements is the replacement of Rivers of America with
Yep.
Cars Land. That's the
Yep.
number one thing that people are talking about. So I think
Agree.
it's totally justified that we spent,
Of course.
a decent chunk of time talking about
Yep.
it.
Great pick. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's back to me. And I want to take another parks thing because my number one movie pick has now been taken. but now I'm worried that some of my other ones are going to get taken that I would have higher.
Well, you have two pretty quickly.
Yeah, but I have one guy after me doing two. So
I'm going totally off the rails. So I don't think you have to
Oh.
worry about me very much.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take one that I am excited about after visiting for the first time, and that's the Avengers Campus expansion.
Great pick.
I think that this is one of the things, obviously, over the years, this has been rumored. This was like at D23's prior, there was going to be this like Avatar Flight of Passage kind of style Wakanda battle ride. There was all these like iterations of this ride. And finally, like these things are coming like to actual substance where we'll see them. But the kind of shock was that there's not going to be one attraction, but two attractions. And I know that maybe on a scale of like looking at attractions, this like one that I'll touch on first, the Stark Flight Lab seems like a smaller like attraction, but I think that it's going to be fun. And I think that it's a good use of space there where like it's not this like big, grand, extravagant thing, but like it'll be something different. There'll be like a different hero like on your screen, kind of a part of you with that ride every time. Like, and I think that it looks cool because it is something different that's not like in a Disney park, which is basically like the kind of claw looking thing, like either grabbing you, like who really knows what it's going to be, but it's going to be something like that style, which I'm excited about. And I love that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to reprise his former, not now new current Dr. Doom role of Iron Man. But the other one, Avengers Infinity Defense, I'm excited about this as well, because I think that as much as I love the land, and I think that I'm a bigger lover of the land as it sits now than most people are, I think that people are kind of down that it doesn't have this big draw. I could sit there all day and watch the characters walk around and just like hear the music and drink a Pim's coffee, like whatever, cookies and cream coffee.
That's so good.
Yeah.
But I think that to have this like big, grand Avengers multiverse Thanos ride is going to be huge, because now this is going to double your attractions. You'll still have all the characters. You're going to have all the same stuff, but it's just two more like attractions. And this has been the like the whole topic online is what's this ride going to be? And it looks like that it could be like a variety of things. Based on being there, I think people think it's going to be a coaster. I don't think it's going to be a coaster. I think it's going to be something like to the style of what Universal has, that like Spider-Man ride, where it's like a bigger box ride that you're moving through stuff. Like that's what I think it's going to be. Like I've seen people talk about a coaster, talk about like a Star Tours type thing. I think that it's going to be something kind of in the middle of those. I don't think it's going to be this big roller coaster or this like simulator. I hope that it's kind of something in the middle. But that's my thoughts on that. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be great. And I can't wait to go back there when this is open, because yeah, like I just love the whole vibe of it. It's great.
I do think that these finish the land.
For sure.
I think that like when we went for the first time, like obviously we're so excited. It's very immersive. But if you're not somebody who is character heavy, which like we're not really, like I think that that's not like the draw of Disney for us, is like interacting with the characters. I think it's like I don't know, maybe an hour you can spend in there, where now I think that there's just, it gives it the substance that it needed.
Yeah, it adds depth kind of both literally and sort of in the context of the experiences there are to do there. In its current state, it does very much, in my opinion, feel like half a land, like a little bit of a walkthrough where there's cool stuff to do. Like Pim's Test Kitchen and Test Lab is both, they're both super enjoyable. The shows that they do kind of in that main building are fun to watch. Spider-Man is awesome. And kind of, I guess like Guardians kind of counts as like a kickoff, even though it's on the periphery a little bit. But I think adding these two, just kind of opens it up more, makes it feel, deeper and kind of more full of stuff to do, and turns it into, something that, you can spend 2-3 hours, 4 hours in there to start your day, in the middle of the day, stuff like that.
And I think it connects Spider-Man to Guardians. I do think that they're like both bookends on the
Right.
land right now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
I
it
agree.
kind of feels like a
Mhm.
nothing in the middle.
Yep.
And I think that that'll kind of tie it together.
Yeah, definitely. I think this was a good pick. I'm excited for what's to come because they did talk about it and they did show like concept art, but it's still kind of like very much up for
It is an unknown.
interpretation.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of potential, and I do think that at least one of the rides I feel like will have to be one that is like put there to like draw people in, because I think like as you're saying, like unless you are a super Avengers fan, like we really like it because you really love Avengers. I
Yeah.
just like kind of the vibe, but like Haley and Tommy said, like if you're not super into seeing
A character, which
characters,
I
then
am,
like
yeah.
you can get the 2 rides done and kind of move on. But to have like another ride that will like draw people and be like, yeah, like we want to go to Avengers Campus to ride this and do these other things, then like that can bring a new crowd in. So I do think that like there's a lot of potential, and I think they're gonna, at least one of the rides I think is gonna be really, really good. But I think they're both gonna be fun.
Like, yeah, like I think that the like Avengers one will be very screen based because you can't have big animatronics of the Hulk and Ant-Man like super big like and stuff, which like you like I guess could, but it's going to be so expensive. I don't know how much
using
money.
that building?
No, like so like I think that in the concept art what it showed for the land is that it's like an attachment onto that building because that building's like a store. So I think that it's kind of pushing it back farther. I don't know how much
I
farther.
feel like
the wall immediately to the right of that building, there's usually like a Jeep thing over
Right.
there. They're gonna knock all of that wall down
Yeah.
to
Back
kind
to
of
Cars Land?
the passageway to Cars Land, and then it'll open
I
up.
think
So
it
it'll be
has
kind
more
of
space than you think.
behind. I think there's a ton of space back there.
Maybe.
So like
I
I
think it's
could
all gonna
see
be
it
behind that main building.
being a building as big as Guardians is in Epcot.
Okay. I just
Maybe.
think it's going to
'Cause-
be more story based, but that's why maybe
Yeah.
maybe it will be kind of a like who knows? I don't know.
Everything I've seen is that it seems like based on the ride vehicle and kind of the concept that have been discussed is that it does seem, at least people kind of online think it will be similar, albeit updated versions of kind of like the Transformers ride in Universal, which is quite lateral, very screen heavy, and wouldn't necessarily kind of
I'm not
require
excited for that.
the verticality that the Guardians Cosmic Rewind needs, since that's like a proper roller coaster where you start high and kind of work your way down. So yeah, kind of might not need to build up as much, but I do think that there's a good degree of space back there, and I think it'll open it up quite a bit.
Because I'll be disappointed if it's super screen heavy because I can't
Right.
do
For
them.
you, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that Universal Spider-Man ride is the first one that I ever was like, I can't go on this anymore
fair.
because it makes me so sick.
Yeah.
I
And
think-
like, oh, sorry, go ahead, Haley.
I was just gonna say, I think that it's worse. Like people get sick on Guardians, and I think that Disney doesn't generally lean super screen heavy. Like they use screens in their thing, but it's always
Right.
mobile. And so I'll be really disappointed if it's kind of like a one room where they're using like illusions to make you feel like you're moving.
I'd like to see something like the Escape from Gringotts at Universal in Florida, where it is kind of, it's got some coastery elements, it's got some speed to it, and then it supplements the story with screens, almost like a Cosmic Rewind, but
That's what it should be.
More story,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't have anything else to add.
It's fair.
Right.
No, I'm
Double
excited.
pick for you.
Yeah, double
Yeah.
pick for me. Avengers Campus is probably where I would have gone because I just think it completes that land. So I thought that was a great pick.
Should these be our last picks? So double pick and then we all go through.
We're gonna work our way back, I thought, to get to 4. Right?
Okay.
We can go more quickly.
Yeah, we can speed it up a little bit. I'm probably gonna go a little bit more bigger announcements, and then I'll start going off the rails a little bit, at least compared to some of the other picks I think will come through. My next one is going to be the Avatar Land at Disneyland.
Nice.
I think Pandora in Animal Kingdom is quite good. I like the Way of Water more than I like Avatar, original Avatar. So I'm excited for that land. I know that was a big part of the presentation, is that the Pandora Animal Kingdom feels like the first movie. This one's going to feel like the second movie. I prefer the second movie. I like the fish Navi. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I think it'll be cool. The boat ride that they showed looks a little bit more engaging than Navi River Journey, which I famously don't love. But I think that'll be cool. I think it'll add a nice kind of distinct land to Disneyland. So looking forward to that. Really like the second Avatar movie. I'm so excited for that to be kind of brought to life at Disneyland.
That was going to be my pick. That would have been
Whoops.
it. No,
Whoops,
that's
sorry.
okay.
I ducked another pick thinking you were going to want to pick
No,
something
it's
else.
okay. I think that that's a good pick. I think that I was like kind of, I don't know, in my like selfish heart, wanted to like gatekeep Pandora for Disneyland or Disney World, because I do like that, like when there's differences. I don't want it to feel like you can go to one park or the other and it's like you are getting the same experience. But I think that now that I know again that they're doing it more based on the Way of Water instead of the original, I think that it is good. I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Like I think this is going to be cool. I do like that it's not going to be the same Pandora that we have, which I like. And I think that they'll be able to add more maybe with like this new movie, which may get drafted, may not, but I'm excited about that because I think like adding new stuff keeps it kind of fresh. Because I think Avatar, like it's one of those weird things I think where like it does so well, but there's not like really big Avatar fans. Like I know that you are, but I'm saying
I was like, okay.
But I'm saying it's not like on the same level of like a Marvel Star Wars. Like, but it does huge box office numbers. But it's
his point always is name like 5 characters from that movie.
Yeah,
Like,
and you can't
can
really
you name the bad guy from the original Avatar? I know he's played by Stephen Lang. I don't know what his name is. I like the character. I have no idea what the name is.
But I was like kind of like a
general scar on my face. I don't
like
know
like a ride or die for Avatar, the movie.
I like both of the movies. I really like the
lot.
second one. I think the second one's excellent. It's just they're a weird cultural phenomenon where you'll never see anybody out and about in like an Avatar shirt, but everybody and their parents and their grandparents have seen both Avatar.
You're
movies.
so right.
Well, it was huge. Like it was like I think it was like one of the really first big IMAX movies that was like coming to regular theaters where you didn't have to go. And I also think that Joe Rohde just did such like with James Cameron. Like I think they just knocked that part out that like you can love the movie and then continue to love it every time you come because it's so immersive.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean,
oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say James Cameron got the whole world to go see a weird Titanic love story and made $3 billion. So
he's a magic maker.
Black magic
yeah, correct.
Well, I was gonna say because you're the Avatar stan here. You're like this is your thing.
At first, I was kind of in the same idea as Haley, where I was like I like it at even as like a super. Like I really enjoy it at the parks. I wanted it only at Animal Kingdom, but then I like how it's a different concept. And I think that there's a lot of potential because I just thought of this like 2 seconds ago when you were talking, is that because it's at Disneyland and because they can do like more character stuff and like it's more like low key, I think that maybe there's potential to like
meet a Na'vi.
That'd be super cool. Or like have people walk around or even like those big like
things that they have outside of the restaurant.
Yeah, like just stuff like that where it's like a totally different experience. I think would be cool.
That's so smart.
Thanks. So that's all I'm gonna add. I'm excited for it. And sorry, I can't name the guy's character either, but I like.
I thought it's like Quaritch or something. It's like
I have no idea.
Charlie's the main guy. Neytiri is his lady. The guy with the dreadlocks in the second movie's name is Spider. That's all I got.
There's like Loic or whatever the one son.
Anyways,
I don't know.
We can move on.
Yeah,
let's keep going.
All right. My next pick, my third pick, and this can be Tommy's Star Wars minute if it needs to be, is Star Wars Skeleton Crew. I don't know if it's called Star Wars Skeleton Crew with Jude Law. I think it looks good. Star Wars is in like not a great spot right now, especially Star Wars TV. There's a lot of stuff kind of going on with The Acolyte, which was recently canceled, which I thought was, enjoyable enough, but it looks like Goonies and Star Wars, had a baby. I'm excited for that. I think it'll be fun. Jude Law's great.
I love him.
I like older Jude Law, where he's kind of like a bit more of a creep than like heartthrob Jude Law. He's like been doing some weird stuff, which I really enjoy him in. But it's got fun kids. It's got fun little alien people. The bad guys are all like these like space pirates. It's like one's a werewolf. So I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be wacky. It looks like a good time. I hope it's enjoyable. And I hope that it doesn't cause, weird fights on the internet like everything else Star Wars does.
This was one where I was like, knew nothing about it. And then I saw it and was like, that is absolutely something that I would enjoy. I'm like a huge Goonies fan. And so I think like having that vibe, but with Star Wars, so you get to go to like other places, obviously like planets and stuff, I think will be super cool. And the kids seem like great actors based on what we saw. And I don't know that that's always the case with when you have like actual little kid actors.
Yeah, they're usually bad. Yeah, they're usually really bad. It's not their fault. They're just little kids, but they're bad.
It's funny. Okay, so it's back to me. I'm kind of in a torn place where I haven't taken a movie or entertainment day yet, and I think that's gonna continue, and I'll probably save that last because there are still lots that I would take. And I'm also just like looking at this list and I'm laughing at which curveball Tommy's gonna throw because there are some that I look at this and I go, oh, that could be a Tommy pick for this. But I'm gonna take Disney Starlight, which is the nighttime parade coming to Magic Kingdom. If this is anything like Magic Happens level, for me, I love Magic Happens. I know that maybe other people like other parades better, but for me, Magic Happens is my favorite that I've ever seen. I love it so much. And I think a big reason is because the song is incredible and the floats are incredible. So, which is obviously what a parade is.
All of the elements are incredible.
Everything of a parade makes it an incredible parade. But anyway, I just think that it's going to be good. I like that it's something at nighttime. I'm a bit confused because I've never got to like experience the like whatever the Main Street electrical parade. Like, how does that run with like the fireworks and how does that kind of work? Is there going to be I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think from the concept art, it looks awesome, looks beautiful. I think the movies that they chose are awesome. I'm excited to hear the soundtrack and see it in person because I do love Disney entertainment. I think they do such a good job. And like I said, if it's anything like a Magic Happens and is like updated and beautiful, I think it's going to be really, really good. So I didn't want that to be one of the park things undrafted. Maybe somebody would have taken it, but I do think it's a really awesome thing coming to Disney World.
I love that it's at night. I think that makes a huge difference. I think if it was a daytime parade, I would have been like, meh.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. But I think the fact that like the grandeur of the lights like really does make it like it seems like I feel like if you're 6 years old and watching that, like you're just starstruck. Like, I think that it's amazing.
Yeah, I forgot to include this on our list, so I don't know if one of us would have picked it, but I think it's a good pick. I think it's a really good pick. I was actually thinking this morning, it's like, oh, that'll be cool. It'll be nice, and I like the nighttime entertainments having a larger variety of that.
I think it's needed.
Yeah, at Walt Disney World is totally something that appeals to me. When Fantasmic reopened, I feel like people like part of why I think the reopening came with such like a big kind of appreciation for it is because the nighttime spectaculars were a little bit bare.
Yeah. What do you think?
All right.
On that one, you know?
No, it's a good one. I was just going to take it. I think it's exciting. I saw like the Main Street Electrical Parade when I went to Disney as the one time I went as a child. I was like a bit older. And that's like one of the only things I really remember from my trip is watching it. So yeah, it's going to be good.
Memorable experience.
Yeah.
All right. My turn.
Yeah.
I have to apologize in advance, perhaps.
Oh no.
To Heidi.
It's okay. I feel like I know.
But I don't know because I think you have a lot left on this that are kind of are in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But I'm going Avatar Fire and Ash. I think like surprisingly because my movie pick was going to be Moana because I am super, super excited for Moana 2. Yep. But I think this was the one where like when we talk about what was the most surprising, I think the trailer was incredible. I think like how it looks and like the fact that like they're kind of going like all different biomes, and so this one seems like it's your same characters, you don't know their names, but it's like a different adventure.
Love,
yeah, we don't know
names. You don't know, but
you love.
Was there a trailer?
I think they showed like concept
art. Oh, yeah, like they gave like the drawn, like the hand drawn pictures.
Yes,
and I think it's giving like to me it was giving like when Scar ruled in Lion King. So like it really is like, but I think that it's gonna be like, and you know that James Cameron's gonna do it right, and I think that if they can incorporate that into the parks and stuff like that, I just think it's gonna be like probably my favorite movie of whatever year it comes out.
Yeah, and I was gonna say one thing that I'm excited about is like this is one of those movies and like one of those series is that like they're not afraid to like actually like make things happen. Like a lot of times people are afraid to like kill off characters or whatever. They're just like, no, we're doing it. We are making everyone sob about it. We are making they're like very like realistic with like the storyline, and they go through so much that I think that's like, like people are very at least that's why I like it. I'm like, I'm so engaged. I'm like, what is going to happen? And then it's like, no, don't kill this person off. And they're like,
but then do it because it's so exciting.
Exactly. So
I think that for me, and like, this is like another ode to James Cameron, but I think that when he makes movies, he thinks about what it's like to be the watcher, like the everyday watcher, not like a movie buff or a critic. Like it's movies that anyone will sit down. And like you said, like he made people love Titanic, which like people were like 10 years old watching that, which is inappropriate. But I think that like he just does such a good job that this can't miss.
He exclusively puts out bangers. If you look at his filmography, it's like Terminator 2, Titanic, Avatar, like it's just banger after banger.
Because he sits there, and I think that every time a movie doesn't come out from him, it's because he's working on a banger.
Well, that's what people were making fun of him because it was like 2017, and he was like, I'm making 4 more avatars, and, you know, starting in 2024 through 2030. And everyone's like, no, you're not. Like,
yeah, you are, and we'll eat it up.
Like, yeah, we made one since 2008. Like, this is never happening. And then the second one comes out and makes like $2.2 billion, and Jimmy C's back on top of the world.
He has black magic.
Yeah, I'll never doubt James Cameron ever again.
No, he's more magical than David Blaine was at the panel. Sorry, there's a reference to the panel. That's funny.
All right.
All right, double pick for Heidi.
To close things out. Yeah.
That's what I meant. Like finishing.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to gauge where you're gonna go.
Yeah, I feel like I have an interesting choice here. Like, yeah, coming here from the back, but I'm just gonna go with what I want and what I like. So the next thing I'm picking is one of the things that I was really excited for personally, and I don't think it's necessarily like a heavy hitter for everyone and is maybe like underrated, but I'm picking it because I loved it. And it's The Greatest Showman becoming a musical.
Good one.
I really love musicals growing up. Like, my mom would always like take me to just like local ones and things like that, and like plays and stuff. And we went to see, like Brandon and I went to see Frozen on Broadway and absolutely like loved it. So I was just really excited because I love this movie. It's just so good. And the fact that it's going to be a play or a musical, it's going to be awesome.
We also watched this for the first time not long ago.
Yeah, not long ago.
Like your first time. And Heidi was like
sobbing the whole
mess.
Time.
It was like you were just like in awe, but then crying. And like, I just think like that movie is just so well done. And like being in that like arena, and they did whatever the like, it was like, whoa, this is insane. Like, what is happening? And it was this whole thing.
I just feel like it's one of those.
They did it much better than I just did.
I was gonna say, do more.
Yeah, do more.
No way.
Sing for us.
One of those things that it's like, I feel like it feels like it's meant. Like, I'm surprised that there's already not a musical, like a real life performance thing of it, because like it's just meant for that. Like, it's perfect. So
yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah, we went to see it and then immediately left the theater, went to Target and bought the soundtrack.
That's what I was gonna say,
so
we are definitely stans.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
Hugh Jackman killed it. I love when he's in musicals because that's like his passion.
That's all he wants to do. Yeah.
And so I think that I do think that you're right. It lends itself. It is a musical, so just put it on Broadway.
No,
makes sense.
We have to go see it.
Oh yeah,
we got to go watch it.
We should find it playing in the States, and then we can all meet up and go.
Please.
Yes, let's do it.
Squad takes Broadway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then my next one and my final pick, I'm going with one that I think is controversial. Well, not controversial, but like that people are kind of like, oh, why are we still doing this? And it is Toy Story 5.
I didn't think you were picking that.
Me neither.
I had something written down.
Yeah, I think it's a bit random, but the reason why I picked it is because I personally did not like Toy Story 4.
Yeah,
because of I mean, like, who is it real? Like, is there any real like Toy Story 4 fans? I don't know. Like super stans, like I don't know. So I'm glad that they're coming back around and ending it. I know, because on one side I'm like, oh my gosh, 5 movie, like, this is a lot. But on the other side, when I like reflect back, and the fact that like Toy Story has been going on, like we watched this as kids, we're growing up with it, and now they're putting like the new spin on it of like electronics is kind of super cool to see, because it's like, if you go watch the original one when we were growing up, it's like electronics were not a thing. They were not like something like, yeah, there was like slowly being introduced, but like kids didn't just have their own electronic devices. Like kids were playing with toys. That's why Toy Story is like so iconic, because it's like we grew up playing with toys.
Yeah.
And so I think putting this new spin on it, where now it's like people who saw the original can go and take their kids, and it's actually like relatable to the kids, where it's like, wow, like this is relatable to you now. And then also to see it like as a parent, I'm interested to see like how that goes and how the shift changes, but also like we obviously need to see the characters like in the same way that they always were. So like it can't be that big of a change, but it's cool that like they're going to introduce a new story.
Yeah, I think toys versus the tech is genius. I think that's incredible. I'm interested how they bring Woody back, because he's in that concept art like at the end of the bed. But this is like I think why this was like so shocking to me was we all knew this was coming, but nobody knew what the whole kind of plot was. And that, okay, yeah, no, like I just think that it was like a stunning moment that like what a genius idea, because it's so current and so relatable to kids nowadays.
I kind of just thought of an idea. It's like, what if the toys, like, what if electronics start being a thing, and then the toys are like, we're not being played with, like, and they don't know what to do, and then they're like, we have to go get Woody to help us, because like, Woody's like the leader, like, so then they go and then they bring him back, and then he's like, they're like, we're not being played with, and then Woody's like, okay, I'll come help you. you know, like I'll come help you. So
Yeah.
maybe it'll be
being
like
a teacher, I think that this like feels like it's going to open a door to like make kids realize that like they have to be using like their imaginations and playing like you're like you don't get to be in control of what's happening on electronics, but like with your toys you do. I was hoping that this was going to be released in 2025 because it's the year that our children would be born, and the first Toy Story came out the year he was born, which would be really cool, but not until June of 2026, which is a little bit disappointing, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Sorry, last point.
No, totally.
Like Heidi said, like the end of Toy Story 4 was so disappointing that I think that they had to have like kind of like a redemption arc.
Yeah, I don't really know what to expect. I'm kind of moderately excited. I love the characters, so I think that it'll be good. I don't love Toy Story 4. I think it's totally fine, which for the fourth movie and installment is like acceptable. But I think that they're, clearly doing something different with it. It's not a retread whatsoever. It's kind of taking on totally sort of untackled material on sort of untrodden upon ground. So, I can only kind of give them the benefit of the doubt there and look forward to it coming out in a couple of years and sort of seeing what they do with it. I think it definitely seems like something that kind of will resonate more with children of today's age, just because electronics are so much more of a prevalent part in their lives than it was even when we were growing up. I was like limited on computer time and stuff like that. So clearly,
well, we had to get off the computer if anybody had to make a call.
Yeah, dial up noises. I was going to do that in the microphone. I decided not to.
Well, yeah. Like I think that it's also one of the things where like it's obviously huge in the parks, and that's one thing. Like when I worked there, like and I was in Toy Story Land, like these kids who are young know all these characters, and they're like just like in awe of like Woody and Jesse and Slinky Dog is going through the park. Like they love these characters, and like the amount of people, like obviously granted it's a lot of like adult parents buying these toys for their kids because they love them, but also just the kids love these toys. So like I feel like that, like again, like people don't love the whole sequel era maybe that we're in, but I think that it's so great. I'm here for it. I will be sat with a popcorn for all of these movies, watching them, enjoying them, and I just can't wait for this one. This would have been my pick for my last pick, but it got snagged again, just like dang Incredibles did.
Oops. So it's
all right, Haley. Yeah, your last pick.
All right, my last pick is Monster Truck. I'm just kidding.
No, I wanted to talk about
Monster Truck.
We'll talk about it after the
We can talk about it perhaps later. It's not The Rock's Monster Truck.
Monster Jam.
I thought about doing Monster Truck.
No. My last one is actually surprising because I don't even know like how much we'll get to enjoy it, but I was such a huge proponent of this coming to Epcot. It's the Coco ride coming to Disneyland. I think it's super exciting. I think that Coco is underrepresented in the parks as a whole. It's obviously more represented in Disneyland than we have in Disney World. Like you can meet Miguel and there's things like that. But I think that the Disneyland people are super excited for it. I think that they should be. And I think it's going to be awesome. I think there's so much color and movement in Coco, and the songs are, all of them are hits. And I think that the ride's going to be incredible. And I'm looking forward to being able to ride it.
Yeah. Coco is one of those movies where like you will just randomly hear people, not on the streets, but kind of people who aren't super into Disney or super into Pixar, be like, yeah, Coco's awesome. Like it's like Moana or something like that, where, and as soon as people have kids, they watch that and they're like, yeah, Coco's.
Is that the one that Dave Portnoy loves?
Yeah. Dave Portnoy
like
loves
just
Coco.
random people.
He loves Coco.
Yeah, this I think is going to be awesome. I feel like that it's going to be so vibrant and beautiful, and I feel like that it is one of the Pixar maybe like IP that maybe at Pixar Pier, which wherever this is going to go, who knows? But I think that in that park, I think that it is one that maybe isn't like very present. So I'm excited that it's going to get something like this grand of like an attraction. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I can't wait to ride it.
Oh, back to me. I'm in a tough spot. There's one on here that is like my favorite Disney movie, and it's a sequel coming to it. But there is two of them that like I don't want to go like undrafted because I think there's so much potential with them and I'm excited about them. So maybe we'll get to them if they're not drafted. We can quickly touch on them because I think that the hate for one of them is not warranted, and I'm excited for that, whatever it's going to be with those. And the other one they showed us to kick it off was awesome and beautiful. Love the song. But I'm going to take Zootopia, all that being said, because Zootopia 2 is something that I never kind of thought would get made when it came out and stuff. And then like upon revisiting it and really loving it, I never thought that it was one that would come back, but it made so much money. And apparently, like, it's like the Avatar of Disney animation, where people aren't big super fans about it, but it makes a lot of money. And people love the characters, I guess, not enough to have a landed Animal Kingdom. But I'm excited. I love what they showed us in that little clip. I love that walrus and whatever that other thing was when they're like spitting back at each other and calling like each other bub and stuff. I think it's going to be awesome, and I'm excited to like add more to the story of Nick and Judy and see like where they go next. I think it's going to be great, and I'm just excited. I love those characters, and I think they can add more to them, and I think it'll be cool to see specifically what they do with Nick because of what he's kind of come off of after the first movie. Now he's like a cop as well, so to see kind of what that is, I'm excited.
I love Zootopia, so I'm super excited for
this. I think it's a really cool world. I mean, like, animals but they're people is not necessarily, you know, groundbreaking kind of ideas, but I think it was so well executed and the characters are so fun and kind of the dynamics between them all is so fun. I am, you know, looking forward to kind of whatever they decide to do. And even if it's just like, if the Zootopia movies are like kind of weird animated animal cop movies where they like uncover a mystery, like I'm so in on that. I'm 100%
even
in.
like a short series like with
Agreed.
that would be so fun.
Yeah, so I think that whatever they'll do is good. Kihi Kwan is a snake. That'll be fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It looks great.
And I think that Zootopia does a good job of bringing in adults because I think it's like super, like it touches on a lot of like societal things that like kids aren't seeing, but it's like interesting to watch. Like if you can get over the fact that they're talking animated bunnies and fox, then like there's like deeper messages that are cool.
Totally. I mean, Zootopia really, and it is like I kind of said it tongue in cheek, but it is like a detective movie. Like it's Chinatown, but they're animals. Like it's, you know, they're uncovering like a conspiracy that goes all the way to the top. Like that's, you know, that exists kind of elsewhere, and it's just kind of
unfortunately
geared towards children. So I definitely agree. It's something that kind of everyone can enjoy because it is, you know, the structure of it is, you know, kind of similar to other movies. All right. My last pick. I said I was going to go off the rails. I didn't go off the rails as much as I said I was going to.
You better choose Monster Truck.
I am. Well, I was going to choose Monster Truck. I want to talk about. I actually, unironically, want to talk about Monster Truck a little bit after this. But I'm going with something just that I think is the most interesting, and I'm going with the live action Snow White.
Good.
I'm live action Stitch.
No, I think that looks good. I think this one doesn't necessarily look good, but I think it looks interesting. They showed us the full kind of song of Whistle While You Work, and Rachel Ziegler, I believe her name is Ziegler, was incredible. Her voice is incredible. She brought a ton of great energy. You know, totally. I was like not entranced, but like the screen presence was like totally gripping. I was all the way put in. That being said, the animated dwarves are terrible. They're a complete monstrosity. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I know that they kind of tried to go different ways with it. The original picture that came out, it was like a gang of like 7, I don't know, like they almost look like Lost Boys, like they're wearing like kind of funny clothes, but they're like, you know, just like regular kind of, you know, standard, like a group of people. I know there was kind of originally backlash around kind of using like 7 dwarves and kind of casting people of that stature. I think that might have been a cool opportunity to kind of fill those roles with people who are not typically historically
represented in movies
on screen. And kind of opening 7 roles that don't really exist elsewhere, kind of in the business. They decided not to do that. I think that the CGI creations don't look great. They don't look real. It was very kind of evident that Rachel was just singing in a room by herself. So I don't know how that's going to translate. I don't know how much they're going to be in the movie, but I'm like totally looking forward to kind of how this turns out. I like Gal Gadot enough. She's like a proper queen. I don't know. Everything about it is kind of bizarre and interesting, but I think that the songs will at least be good. And I'm so interested just to kind of watch it and talk about it after the fact, because I think it's going to be, you know, a lot. I think it's good. You know, there's a good chance it's a mess, but I don't know. Maybe it's great.
This movie has been surrounded by controversy, I feel like, since it came out that they were doing it. Because I think that Rachel Ziegler came out and didn't really say great things about it. Like she wasn't really being very Snow White of her in like her take on who Snow White is as a person. And then she representing that, I think a lot of the original diehard Disney adults who were here for like the very first animated film being brought to life by somebody who like seemingly didn't understand like the role, like the importance of the role she was playing and things like that. And I think that like she got a PR team that got her figured out. And so I think that like fixed itself. And then as soon as everybody forgot about that, I think that this whole controversy with having an opportunity to have like an underrepresented group of people play dwarves. Like they are like smaller people in stature, and then just making them like 6 foot tall, like human beings, just that they've now CGI'd onto like an animated body, I think is a little bit like, it just seems so obvious that there are these people in that are actors and they're qualified and they can do it. And then to not hire 7 of them to do it seems so silly, because otherwise you should have just cut it and just called it Snow White and
Right.
just left the dwarves out.
Right. Yeah. Kind of, yeah. Not opening the role and giving people the opportunity to kind of get a big break, because this is what it would be for those actors, out of kind of fear of a potential controversy around, the name of a nearly 100-year-old movie, kind of original. I think it's a missed opportunity to kind of present those roles and those chances for, like we said, underrepresented actors.
People have the opportunity to either go out for the role or not if they don't feel like Seven Dwarfs is an appropriate name for a movie still. If you don't feel like that, then you don't have to apply to be at the role and you didn't have to do it. But I think that them trying to eliminate like a potential disaster, like a PR disaster for them, and like not get canceled, has kind of lend itself the other way. And I think that if you had just reached out to people in that community, perhaps you would have gotten some feedback and you wouldn't be in this like you said, like monstrosity of a CGI'd movie.
Yeah, they tried to back away from a controversy and ended up backing into
Disney does that a lot, I think.
Different controversy, and also a movie where 7 of the lead characters just don't look like things that exist
in the same realm as
the
two women
total
actresses.
uncanny valley. But I know one thing: the soundtrack is gonna go hard. So
yeah, she in that song was incredible. Like, and I was, like you said, like entranced in that. Like, I thought it was so good. I think, like, upon looking this up more, because I was curious, like, as to why this isn't, like, why they didn't choose what you said, and like Peter Dinklage, like, who is notorious for being kind of cast as that person, like in movies, he said that it was a mistake if they did cast real people. So then I think that Disney probably looked and said, this is the guy who's like a champion for these roles, is now saying that we shouldn't do it, so maybe we shouldn't. I think that was a mistake maybe on his part also. I think that this would have opened the door for a lot of people, and I think the fact that they didn't do that like is a mistake. But now, like, it's just called Snow White, so I feel like Tommy, like you said, I think that they are gonna lean into that. It's Snow White and the Evil Queen, and they'll be in it for some stuff. Obviously, there'll be the whole like in a mine and all that stuff, but I think it's going to be not as big of a scale maybe as they were in the animated movie.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, because I think that Rachel is like just like a phenomenal like singer and performer, and I think that kind of there was a little bit of that rough patch at the start that we talked about with kind of like, when she was chatting about the role and stuff. But I think that definitely that's like come around full circle, and she is appreciative of the role, and clearly is going to do a good job from what we saw, because just after that one song I was God, she's obsessed. I'm like, this is so amazing, such an amazing like singer. So like the music's going to hit, like Tommy said. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It's unfortunate because I feel like there was so much potential behind it, but I'm excited to see what does come out of it, because at this point, like, a lot is up in the air. We don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think there's already like a cloud over it, and it's like it's unfortunate.
And I think that like it's kind of hard because we don't really have experience to be like, we can't speak from experience saying that like I do think that they did this wrong, or I don't think not in a group of people that like can say. I think just looking from the outside, but like you said, if Peter Dinklage said that like he doesn't feel like it like they should be casting.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, obviously, like this, we can move off of this, but even like Peter Dinklage's comments are divisive between
exactly. That's what I was going to say.
You're pulling the ladder.
Some people don't.
Potential roles that this community could fill,
and you already have roles that you don't need to be filled because you're a humongous actor.
And he got his start, getting called like an elf by Will Ferrell, and then he, kind of was able to transition into like serious dramatic roles that kind of gave him a ton of respect as a kind of a standalone actor, regardless of his stature.
I think that this, though, I think it's a cool conversation to be able to have. Like, I think that like
I think
it in the door, like I think like being able to like think of different perspectives of it is a super interesting thing. And like I said, I think the movie is going to be good, but I think like post movie we'll be able to sit here and talk about it, and it'll be fun.
Yeah, it started with a screenshot of Rachel walking with, people just kind of wearing funny clothing, and they're like, is this supposed to be like a stand-in for the Seven Dwarves? Like that's kind of a weird departure from the original idea, and then it moved into the kind of the whole conversation after that. So it's been a total, just storm of controversy and divisive opinions and things like that the whole way. So I was not expecting that clip to come on screen at D23 and me to just be like, wow, like I wish that this was going to be, everything that it could be, because what we're seeing is pretty excellent.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. For me, it was like the most fascinating part of D23, and it's just kind of I'm excited to see how it shakes out.
Yeah.
All right. We can quickly go through everything that was unpicked, and then I'll recap our list. And
we may have missed some things over here.
Yeah, if I miss anything, apologies. I kind of went through a list earlier. And if there's anything either of you want to add on, feel free to do so. Yeah. We'll start with Pixar, Monster Truck. Pixar's Disney Animation. So we'll go Disney Animation, Monster Truck. I actually think Monster Truck could be interesting. It's The Rock. So I was kind of thinking earlier, it might just be like a kind of a parallel to professional wrestling, except for Monster Trucks. That's obviously where The Rock got his start. I think that could be actually kind of interesting. It's like funny that it's just called Monster Jam or whatever it's called.
Monster
but I think it could be okay.
I think it was one of the shocking, like The Rock came out on the screen and I thought for sure, oh, this is going to be about like live action Moana or something. And then it was just like Monster Jam and like giant like wheels in the background.
Yeah.
Moana 2. Didn't go picked, but I think we're all very excited for that. I think we're getting close enough to where it wasn't even like a big announcement. It's just kind of getting excited for
But
Moana
the music sounds great.
The song sounds great.
Yeah. The song sounds great. I know that was a big concern, so no worries there. Frozen 3, I think is interesting.
Shocked when unpicked.
That was
I don't know her name. The head of Disney Animation.
Jennifer Lee.
She recently stepped down as head of Disney Animation just to kind of take on Frozen movies. So it sounds like they're going to be pumping out Frozen movies for the foreseeable future.
Well, I think the reason I didn't take this one is because it's like so far that like I love Frozen. Frozen 2 is my favorite like Disney movie, but just like the fact of like just dropping it and being like in 2027 and then sometime one day we will have a fourth one as well. I'm excited about it, but it's like there wasn't really much girth to it. It's just like we kind of already knew that you were going to do a Frozen eventually because it made so much money and it's been kind of talked about before.
Like this was the one that I talked about earlier where like I wanted to say, because I think this has become one of Disney's most loved but hated like brands. And I think when you work with kids and see kids love these movies, and that's why that they make them. And I do think that there probably is like a lot of characters that their stories aren't done, but I think that this has a lot of depth, and I think they can do a lot, like, and this being a 2-part kind of movie, 3 and 4 I think will be interesting, but it is kind of so far away. That's why that I didn't take it over Zootopia, because it is 2027, which is
we'll be able to talk about this after the next D23.
We'll learn a little bit more. And then a little bit of a Disney animation tie-in because it's live action. Stitch live action. We got a first look at Stitch. I think it looks
better than we thought.
Good. Yeah,
he wasn't Sonic.
Yeah, it wasn't original Sonic, that's for sure. So yeah, I think it looks good enough. I think that'll be interesting. That's another one where the kind of Hawaiian representation is something that people have really been kind of championing. So that's always cool to kind of see that kind of people get opportunities. But I love Stitch. I think as long as he, looks like a real thing that exists on Earth, I think it'll be good. But sometimes when you have like a full CGI character like that plays such a big role, it's tough.
A little unsettling.
Yeah. Quickly, this is just something I had. Star Wars Andor season 2, I think will be good. More Star Wars, always good with me. Pixar, the two things I had were Elio, which I don't know how to feel about. I think it looks okay. I think
that's a series.
No, it's the boy gets abducted by aliens. They think he's the leader of Earth. I think it looks. I don't know. I think it looks good. The humor hasn't landed. I think if the jokes I thought were funnier in the trailer, I'd be more into it. Whatever the joke is, I just don't think is great, except for the little translator bot. I think
I was going to say, love that when that came on and was like, my name is, I was like, that's hilarious.
That's a good bit. That's a good bit.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, and the I don't know, what was the name of the cat from Lightyear? Muffins, Mittens.
Socks.
Yeah,
Socks was funny. So if they can, I mean, they can do kind of sidekicks like that. And then the Pixar Beaver movie, I have it written called Hoppers, where I believe a young girl switches places with a beaver, a robotic beaver.
Yeah, I thought it was a real beaver gopher. It's robotic.
No, I think that would have caused some issues.
Yeah, she is an undercover beaver, going to kind of. It seems like they're infiltrating like a beaver kingdom. There's a beaver king.
I think little kids will end up loving it. I think like we may not love it, but it feels like something like 8-year-old boys would just like really get a kick out of.
It seems fun. I don't know. Yeah, Pixar like has been a little bit hit or miss the last 10 years maybe. So watching them do something like kind of new and wacky is not something that I'm mad about. I think it'll at least be interesting.
Yeah.
And then they also had a couple series, which is like the Win or Lose, which like don't know much about it, and then Dream Productions, like the Inside Out thing, which I'm just not a Disney Plus animated series watcher, but who knows, those could be good. I'm not sure.
I think they're cute enough.
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned that. I love the idea of the Dream Productions, like the fact that like old timey Hollywood studio kind of drama is very funny to me. It's very like Hail
and I
Caesar.
think the characters will be funny.
Yeah,
because I think they're like if it were real life, they'd be like chain smoking cigarettes and kind of that, but they had to make it like in Riley's
like
brain.
A woman trapped in an editing room, smoking 4 packs a day, stuff like that. So I think that'll be funny. And Win or Lose, I think looks interesting. Just that it's I think every episode is like a different.
I think
style.
It looks cute.
So it's like taking on different styles. Part of what I liked about Turning Red so much is that it rarely leaned into kind of traditionally Japanese animation tropes and things like that. And then the last thing I had was Tron Ares. The main reason I had this is that I recently watched Tron Legacy. Good movie, recommend. Way better than Tron Original Tron. But the reason I like the most is it just like looks like a proper movie. Like I think there's a lot of stuff specifically on D20 or Disney Plus that just like looks, I don't know, it looks part movie, part commercial. Like it looks like people are standing in front of the volume or in front of a green screen, where this like looked like a movie, which is what I want to see Disney making
like
in
a big
action.
set film movie.
Yeah, and they have Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails doing the soundtrack, which was like a big laser reveal at D23.
Yeah.
But which makes sense because he's done a lot of good scores recently. Challengers, which I know Haley, you and I saw on the score was kind of fun there. So that was the last thing I had. I thought was fun. As far as movies go, I don't know if either of you had any movie, TV, entertainment properties.
Or parks.
The only other things on my list for movies was that Frozen the musical is coming to Disney Plus, which was random. Freakier Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and did that, which again, who knows how that could be. That'll be interesting. I'm excited about it. What else was on here? The Mando Grogu movie, which is 2026.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Mufasa the Lion King, which not sure about it. And then what I wanted to kind of touch on, just like really brief, was that like I think that Marvel was underwhelming. There's a lot of Marvel stuff that they showed, but it was not stuff. I think they did their big reveals at Comic-Con, and I think that D23 got lost, but it was like the Captain America and then some like shows, and kind of capped off with like the Agatha yes.
And Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, which we've now watched and I like, but I think that was kind of underwhelming. But a lot of those I'm unsure. Mufasa, I'm very interested. That was their big ending to the like entertainment showcase, and we'll see how that goes because the song didn't hit how I wanted it to. It's soon. It's in December, so we'll see.
I'm hoping to be shocked by that movie.
Yeah. I think there's a chance that it's good and it's emotionally resonant. I think kind of where they're going could be interesting. Barry Jenkins is a very acclaimed director, so I kind of have to put faith in him. But yet the song was certainly underwhelming. Did not love the song. Nope. And to your point about Marvel, I think Marvel's in a weird spot where they've kind of had to restructure what they're doing in terms of larger scale direction. So I think that they're kind of just like showing us Captain America, showing us Ironheart, kind of more of the one-off sort of side stories, so to speak. So interested to see kind of what comes of that, especially in the wake of, like you said, the stuff at Comic-Con. And then parks, I only had 2 major ones that I included, kept it specific to the U.S. parks just because we don't have any experience whatsoever with the foreign parks, so I don't really have a ton of kind of opinion to offer there. New Smuggler's Run adventures featuring the Mandalorian and Grogu. Speaking of, I think that's fun. I think that ride is kind of due for some variety. I enjoyed it when we did it, last month more than I thought I was going to, but I think kind of changing it up a little bit would be nice. And then Tiana's Bayou Adventure coming to Disneyland this year, just November, I think. I'm the only one here who hasn't ridden that, so I might just kind of hard pivot and become a bring back Splash Mountain guy and just obnoxious man in Disney podcasting. But no, I'm excited for that. Twice the opportunities to ride it. One of these days I'll get on it and I'll report back with my findings.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, the only other one that I want to mention was the Lion King area coming to Paris, which I know I kept it very like over here park base also, but like I'm excited about the possibility of one day doing that. I am nervous that it just looks like Lion King Splash Mountain / Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So we'll see what that is. But I do love that that's like a really big movie. And it said that it's based on the animated movie, but then the concept art looks like the real life one. And it better be the animated one because that's
it would be
all
so
I want.
strange if it's just like they took like Jungle Cruise character looking
Yeah,
animatronics and
Yeah.
stuck them into
the animatronics they removed from Jungle Cruise. They
Yeah.
just
I
put
want
Splash Mountain
animated
there.
Lion King.
Yeah, I think that'll be cool. That was the one I thought about including. I just I don't know where in Disneyland Paris it's going. I don't know if it.
Well, they're doing
fits.
that whole
Yeah, I know.
revamp of
I know
like the whole
revamping.
park.
Yeah, well, whatever it was.
Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, the
Park.
Hollywood.
They're gonna
Studios
call it
revamp.
like Disney Adventure World.
Adventure. Yeah,
which will be interesting.
It's a very
A
kind
mouthful.
Of, yeah, it's also a very I don't know. It's like a water park in New Jersey name, but
Yeah, it's like a Six Flags
yeah,
like off name.
maybe it translates differently.
That
Maybe
was
it
all
sounds-
that I had. Was
maybe
that
it sounds nice in French. Adventure. The most controversial bit of the podcast.
Honestly, well, nobody's
Yeah.
listening anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was
It's been
our
a while.
draft. I'll read the draft results real quickly, and then I'll get us out of here.
If you're still here, you can cancel Tommy.
Yeah, feel free. I drafted Monsters Inc. Land, Avatar Land at Disneyland, Skeleton Crew, the Star Wars show, as well as the live-action Snow White. Brandon drafted the Villains Land, Coming to Magic Kingdom, Avengers Campus expansion in DCA, Disney Starlight, Coming to Magic Kingdom, as well as Zootopia 2. Haley drafted Tropical Americas, replacing Dino Land USA at Animal Kingdom. Cars Land, Coming to Magic Kingdom. Avatar 3, Fire and Ash, as well as the Coco Ride, coming to DCA. And then Heidi had the Walt Disney animatronic at Disneyland, Incredibles 3, The Greatest Showman musical on Broadway, and Toy Story 5. So
This is probably the best I feel of any draft.
you had a good
that
draft.
we've done.
You had a good draft. Yeah. So
good job.
definitely
Haley.
let us know
Great.
in the comments on YouTube and Spotify who you thought won. You can also leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and let us know who you won.
And also on Spotify.
Yeah. Also, feel free to sort of chime in on any of those venues and share your opinions on any of the any of the announcements themselves. This is our
Maybe we'll post this to Instagram too, just in case
Yeah,
people
we can
haven't
do-
made it this
Yeah.
far to see what we
For sure.
ended up drafting.
Yeah,
Agreed.
If you
Got
did,
it.
you're a real one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
our most
we appreciate you.
controversial podcast to date. But you can find us every week on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube's at the Park Squad Pod. This was episode 20. Thanks so much for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week.
Love ya.
Bye.
Bye.